The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
It's another episode of the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Hall of Fame wrestling writer, broadcaster, and announcer Jason Bryant. Today on the show, we will talk with head wrestling coach at the Colorado School of Mines, Austin DeVoe. You might recognize that name. He's a Missouri grad, spent some time in northern Colorado. We'll talk about his time in Golden, Colorado. They just came off a win over Colorado Mesa that gave them a share of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Championships for the first time in school history. I will repeat that information as we get to the interview here shortly. What I'm also going to repeat is if you're a wrestling fan and you are ready for the NCAA Division I Wrestling National Championships coming up in March in Pittsburgh, I have got the ultimate accompaniment for you, whether you are going to be attending the championships, if you're lucky enough and fortunate enough to get tickets, if you're going to be attending, or if you're going to be doing a fantasy draft or a pick'em contest or a bracket challenge, or if you're sitting at home watching on ESPN3 with all the screens going up, and you want to keep knowing more about these athletes, go to WrestlingPreviewGuide.com. That is going to be the digital preview guide that I produce each and every year. It retails for $19.99. Use the promo code JB. You will save $5. Or you could simply go to WrestlingPreviewGuide.com/JB. That is a link directly to it to get that discount automatically applied. 330 athletes. Well, I will have all 330 athletes' season results from top to bottom. I will have information and biographical information on every single team. I will have historical information, the likes you have never seen unless you've bought the guide before. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Check your email. So, I'm not going to hit you with the sales pitch too much more, but again, it is honestly the best accompaniment for you. If you're going to be in that giant draft at the yard that David Mercatani and FantasyGrade.com have going on, you're going to want this to help with your selections and your fan pools and all your unseeded nationals, which are actually, they're really not unseeded anymore. So you're like high-seeded nationals, whatever you want to call them. This is the ultimate accompaniment. And it's just, you're going to get smarter because of it. You're going to be able to answer all those bar bets. You might even make some side money saying, no, I guarantee you it was so-and-so who beat so-and-so in this year. And you'll be able to tap a button, swipe left, swipe right, and go right to it and get your answer. Trust me, you are not going to be disappointed in this digitally delivered preview guide, optimized for your tablet, your iPad, your smartphone. It works even great on your computer. It is a digital product. I want to stress that. It is digital. It is not a printed product. That being said, $19.99, but you can save $5 by using the promo code JB or going to WrestlingPreviewGuide.com/JB. You will not be disappointed. Now I'm going to enter the interview with a little bit of part of my favorite TV show, and there is a theme to it. So, yeah, number one in the hood, G, here on Short Time. Today, we get to talk a little Division II wrestling with somebody. Again, we go way back with lovingly calling him Meatwad from his days at Missouri, and through all the crew there at the Tigers know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll get into the story now. He is the head wrestling coach at the Colorado School of Mines, Austin DeVoe. Austin, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. On I guess a nice little high from last night. So. Yeah.
What we're talking about last night was as Colorado School of Mines beat Colorado Mesa 23-11 to clinch a share of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference title. Now, there's still other teams that have to finish out their dual meet seasons, but the Ore Diggers, you are the freaking Ore Diggers. We'll figure out what the hell an Ore Digger is here in a minute, but you guys have clinched a share of the conference title for the first time in 96 years in the school's wrestling history. What does that? What was that? What was that like last night with that victory?
Oh man. Well, we had a really big crowd, even though it was snowing, and I don't know how many feet of snow we had, but you know, it was a night where a lot of people came out to support on, you know, not necessarily good weather, but, man, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's hit me yet still. It's been a long time coming, that's for sure. Holy cow. But like I said, I don't even think it's hit me yet. Just the amount of work and years and everything that's gone into it. It's been a journey, that's for sure. I'll say my first year taking over the program, we didn't win a single duel the whole year. So we've come a long ways, that's for sure. And just super happy for our seniors to be on senior night, to have that experience, and just our whole team to have the amount of confidence that we've been gaining year after year, week after week, and just match after match, to be able to go into the postseason here on this positive note is truly great for us moving forward.
7-1 in conference, 7-2 in Super Region 6, 11-3 overall. You said you didn't win a duel your first year. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this season, and what is most interesting is you don't have a team loaded with superstars. You've got one guy with a really solid record, and the rest of them are all, 60%, 65%. It's not like you got one guy with a super good record and everybody else with pretty good records. It's like this quintessential dual meet team. So we can get into that in a little bit. But starting out, you were a name coming out of high school. You went to Missouri. The Division I career wasn't like, I guess you didn't meet your own expectations and whatnot, but coming out of your career in Missouri and wanting to get into coaching, what kind of connected those dots for you?
I think it was the fact that I didn't probably meet some of the expectations that I had set for myself, and, wanted to have an opportunity to continue to, I guess not only, I can't reach them myself, obviously, after I graduate, but be able to at least help some other guys, within their journey to try to reach their goals. So, I think that was one of the big parts of me getting into coaching was, to help some others, maybe at least have a better opportunity to try to reach theirs. And, I got my foot in the door over at Northern Colorado and kind of just took that job, making pennies. That's kind of how I guess you get started, is just try to get your foot in the door. And, the experience there led me to Mines as an assistant for a couple of years starting out, and had the opportunity to take over the program. So, it's been a journey, that's for sure. But, I've taken a lot of things from Missouri, my experience there, and tried to apply those to this place here at Mines. But I will say Mines is like no other place in the country. I don't think there's much comparison between us and any other school. It's pretty amazing to have 31 engineers on our roster doing what they're doing here, and it just really is amazing. These are true student athletes here, and kids that will go on to amazing careers, not just wrestle for the rest of their lives.
I remember we were in Fargo, and I remember you coming up to me and goes, "Hey, what do you know about Northern Colorado? What do you know about Jack Mon?" And because, obviously in Fargo, Bucky Mon and Brett Mon were there at North Dakota State, and Jack was coaching at Northern Colorado. They were rivals and obviously a family there for a while, and that's what led you out there. What was intriguing about Jack and taking the chance to go to Greeley, Colorado for your first assistant job in Division I?
Oh man, it was great to work under Coach Mon. He's a phenomenal guy. A fun guy to be around, and just a great person. And I think that experience definitely helped me grow as an individual and just grow up. When you get out of college, you're still a kid, I guess, to a certain degree. And, it was a great growing experience for me to be able to have that opportunity. And, it was an interesting one too. It was a program that had just came out of the transition, from D2 to being eligible for D1. So, there were some growing pains like any other program that came, through the process. But, I can't thank Jack Mon enough for giving me the opportunity to coach and just start my career.
Then the opportunity, actually, during that time at Northern Colorado actually ended its I guess you can't really call it a drought of Division I All-Americans, because in the era you could wrestle, the college division, university division. Northern Colorado had some Division I All-Americans back in the day. Matter of fact, they're a pretty good program. I think when they were known as like Colorado State Teachers College or something like that. Not the Colorado State we know it as that up in Fort Collins, but Northern Colorado has gone through a couple name changes. But Justin Gaethje was an All-American when you were there in your tenure. And, what's it like to kind of look at that guy kind of, knocking people out in the world of MMA, because you got plenty of friends that have come from Mizzou that are also doing the same thing in the world of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I'm so happy for Justin and the experience that he had while he was at UNC, and obviously he's had quite the career post college with the MMA world. But Justin's a great guy. He's just a good person too, and definitely happy for him. I was talking to him not too long ago, and him and another kid, Rocco DiPaolo, that was there at UNC while I was there. Rocco's coaching.
Rocco,
oh boy! And they had.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick.
Kids at our camp.
I have to interrupt you on this because Ryan Johnson, who I work with at USA Wrestling, he wrestled at Northern Colorado, and when I was out there, I went up and covered. I think it was a North Dakota State, Northern Colorado duel. I can't remember if you were on staff or not, but Rocco would bumped up like 4 or 5 weights throughout the course of his college career. He'd wrestled everywhere.
Yep.
And Ryan's telling me a story. He goes, Coach, he might have been telling this to Jackers teammates. He goes, you are to refer to me as like, it was like God or Rock Dog or something like that. It was just something crazy that he'd come up with. So that's the last time I heard that guy's name, was when Ryan Johnson
believe I was standing beside you when he said that.
Oh my goodness.
That was Rocco. Yeah. Quite
Rock
the character.
Dog.
And he's really enjoying the coaching world. He's I think he's really finding his place.
Because he was doing everything he could to find his place in the lineup that year. I think he went from like 49 to 84 in the same year. But, getting back to, we talk about Gaethje, then you had the opportunity. Josh Hutchins is the head coach at Colorado School of Mines. And I guess this is the one question I want to know right off the bat, because when I look at just the name of the school and then the nickname of the athletics program, the Colorado School of Mines or Diggers, what do you think you were getting yourself into? What did you know about the school beforehand, and what did you quickly have to learn about the Colorado School of Mines? That's with an M-I-N-E-S, not mimes. Like, that'd be pretty quiet practice, but, what do you know about mines?
To be completely honest with you, I was out of coaching for about a year and a half. When I left UNC, I didn't know if I was going to coach again, and I kind of just did the Colorado thing. I lived up in the mountains doing the guiding business for a little while, and it to me was kind of a breather from the sport. And when the position came open, I was just kind of searching a little bit for some jobs, trying to decide if I really wanted to coach again or not. And it came up. I threw my name in the hat and came out here, and I literally had to sit down on the computer and do some digging to figure out what this place was. When I initially applied, I didn't know a lot about it. Like you're saying, not many people really do unless they're in the engineering industry. So this place, it's an earth, energy, and environment. That's kind of their motto here as a university. It's an engineering school primarily. It's a STEM school. Math and science is basically everything here. Our kids get out of here and make tons of money. But I didn't know much about it, to be honest with you, when I first started looking into it. And, as I dug into it, I see these statistics of number one engineering university in the country. It's starting salaries of $70,000 plus, for kids. And it's just it had all these unbelievable stats. And I'm like, man, this place is interesting. It's an easy sell if you want to get a good degree. And, I think that the flip side of that was being able to find kids that had the academics to be able to get them here. That's I think one of the interesting things when I was first looking at it is how do you find kids that fit these academic requirements? And it's always a challenge. But, if you look at our roster, we've got guys that were very successful in high school, and we've got guys that are in our starting lineup that some of them didn't even play their senior year at high school state. So we've got a very diverse team, and we don't even have a single kid that's nationally ranked, which is pretty phenomenal to have the dual season that we've had this year and last year for that matter. But yeah, this place is special. It really is. Our mascot is the blaster, the burrow. And yes, we are the ore diggers. So it really stems from the mining days of this university when it was really first founded. and they've, expanded all their engineering programs to a little bit of everything, from civil to electrical to petroleum to you name it, engineering wise. But it's just a special place. It really is. I mean, I can't speak enough about how great it is to work with high character kids on a daily basis. A place that you don't have to worry about kids getting in trouble. Obviously they're still college kids at the end of the day, but it's a very great place to be around, not just for wrestling, but just as a whole. This campus is amazing. Our alumni support is phenomenal. I think I'm so happy for our alums too, to have done what we did last night with the RMAC title.
Yeah, I mean, I know two alums off the top of my head. Ed Gallegos is down there. He helps out with, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and his spread that he's got down there in Stillwater. Doug Howard has basically been a kind of a standing presence at USA Wrestling and NCAA events. Just kind of basically, you're going to get good help when Doug shows up. It's, oh, Doug. And Doug tells a story about going to mines, and him and Ed are two people I know that have ties to that program. So it's not like it's a complete mystery to people in the sport of wrestling, but I'm looking through the roster and I'm saying chemical and biochemical engineering, applied mathematics and statistics, mechanical engineering physics, screw that, dude. I was a communications major, man. And I'm looking at that, and where I went was a decent engineering school. Like Virginia Tech's a decent engineering school. There's good engineering schools all around the country. What schools are you competing against to pull these kids in? Because there are big names and big engineering schools on the East Coast that have the reputations, whereas I'm sure there's a reputation with mines, in that part of the world. But how do you pull kids from around the country that may not know this type of school exists and it's every bit as good of an education as some of the big name schools?
Yeah, it's a work in progress, just trying to get our name out there, to be honest with you. I think that's one of the biggest things, is just making people aware of us and finding unique ways to be able to just spread the word about us. We are looking for kids that are looking at other D1s. We're, for the most part, we're not really looking at kids that are really interested in other D2 schools, just because there's not any really like us. The comparable schools that we're always recruiting kids, against it's all your Ivy League schools and it's all your military academies. And so for us, it's always a challenge recruiting wise, but we're looking for kids that, are looking at other D1s and looking for a unique experience and just want to be a part of a true student athlete experience, is the way I see it, and be a part of a team that's doing everything together. It's not just wrestling together. I mean, our kids are taking all the same classes. They're studying together. It's just such a tight-knit family here within our team, because of the nature of the school. And that's a great part about being here and being part of our department, and the investment that our alums have put into this place. And we just finished a over $300,000 facility renovation to our locker room space. And, we got a new wrestling room a few years ago. We've had some scholarship increases. So there are opportunities out there, for kids with high accomplishments, or low accomplishments for that matter, as long as they want to work hard, to come to this place. But, it's unique. You got to be a good student. You got to be not only a good student, but you got to be a pretty great student, and you got to, want to do math and science. So, the recruiting pool is relatively small for us, to be honest.
Looking at the dynamic of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and, having lived in Colorado for 3 years and having gone down to Pueblo, and, knowing coaches like, Jason Ramstead at Adams State, and you up at Mines before I left. But it's just like, you're looking at it going, man, Golden, Colorado is where this school is located. Talk about Golden, Colorado, because most people only know about Golden, Colorado for one thing, and that's Coors. So, what is it about the campus setting? I mean, what's it like walking around campus in Golden, Colorado?
So we're right downtown. I mean, you walk literally 1 or 2 blocks down the hill and you're in downtown Golden, the famous archway with, welcome to the West, Golden, Colorado, the brewery, whatnot. It's just literally right down the street. We're very involved in the community here within our whole athletic department for that matter, but our team especially. We've done a lot to be involved with the community, and I don't think you could be at a more, I'd say, a beautiful campus and community, in terms of being at a relatively small, institution with some of the best academics in the country. We have about 6,000 students here, counting grad students, and I think it's the perfect size. You get to know your professors, you get to know everybody, for the most part across campus. It has a very intimate feeling here, and it's a relatively small town kind of feel. You can be in Denver in 15 minutes from campus. We're really close to the city, but yet we do have what I would say is a small town feel to this place. You have a creek, Clear Creek, that runs right through town. You can go tubing in the summertime. You can, run the trails. You can go mountain biking. You can go rock climbing, all within walking distance of our campus. It's just phenomenal. And that was one of the big attractions for me too here. I'm a big outdoors guy, and I've done a little river guiding and snowmobile guiding and do some skiing and all that fun stuff that the mountains have to offer. And I think that makes this place just so special. A lot of our kids that come here from out of state stay here. It's an attractive place to be.
What's also attractive from a wrestling standpoint is looking at your staff here. Just wrestling fans will know these names: Tyson Reiner, wrestled at Northern Iowa; Louis Caputo, and Evan Knight, Iowa guy, wrestled at Cornell; Max Wessel, Colorado guy, wrestled at Lehigh, All-American and a judo badass. So, how do you assemble a staff like this at a Division II school? Seriously, these are all D1 guys.
Yeah. That was kind of one of my goals when I first took over, was to try to get some guys, from some schools that were, a little maybe different than Division II. Try to bring some of that to our program. But it started with hiring on Todd Porter. My first couple of years here, he was a Missouri guy, and then after Todd left, we brought in Tyson Reiner. He had some pretty incredible coaching experiences. He was at Wartburg. He was at St. Cloud. I think the guy, in terms of resume coaching experience before he joined our staff, I think they had maybe I think they only lost maybe one or two duels his entire career coaching since he graduated from UNI. So he was the start of it. Bringing Reiner in after Porter, and then it was kind of one by one pulling some other guys in. After Reiner got on staff, and Tyson Reiner is our full-time assistant. He's here with me every day in the trenches in the office and doing everything. Without him, I definitely couldn't do my job. And then we brought in Louis Caputo, your Harvard grad there, a couple-time All-American at Harvard. But getting Caputo in here, obviously I knew Caputo from when he was in high school and when I was at Missouri, and kind of pulled his arm to get involved. And he's just really a part-time guy, comes in a couple times a week, but phenomenal guy to have in the room. Oh my goodness. He's just such a great guy, super helpful. And so Louis Caputo, Evan Knight, and Max Wessel, all three of them actually live over in Boulder. They have full-time jobs, and they come over here anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the week. But we've, really just established that relationship with them kind of one by one, year after year. We added Louis, then added Evan, then added Max, and, it was just building some relationships through some wrestling ties. And there's a lot of pretty outstanding former college wrestlers out here in this area. So, definitely pretty fortunate to have people like that already out here, that are wanting to give back to the sport, wanting to be involved, and just great people. And obviously they came from some pretty darn good colleges too.
Yeah. And looking at the dynamic of all those coaches, they were all mentored by well-respected coaches who, whether they gauge success on wins or losses, is notwithstanding, but you were mentored and coached by Brian Smith, who, I don't know too many people that have a whole lot of bad things to say about him. Tyson Reiner, as you mentioned, coming through and after his college career with Brad Penrith at UNI, he's with Jim Miller at Wartburg, Steve Costanza at St. Cloud State. Those are championship coaches. Jay Weiss at Harvard doesn't get the respect that he deserves a lot of the time. I mean, this is Harvard. It's Harvard, for goodness sake. I mean,
Yeah.
They've won an EIWA title on his watch. He's been there, 25 years at this point. Evan Knight's dad, Steve Knight, has been a USA Wrestling gold level coach for a number of years, and Wessel at Lehigh with, Pat Santoro right there. And, before him, Greg Strobel. It's just like all these guys that you have on staff have been mentored by excellent coaches. So, obviously that's something that shows in their performance as a coach.
It definitely does. It definitely does. No doubt about it. And just having them involved I think has brought our level of expectations up so incredibly high. It's one of those funny things, it's hard to build confidence without getting wins, but it's hard to get wins without building confidence. And it's this like perpetual cycle. And somehow, some way, through some character building, we've been able to do that, and a lot of that has stemmed from the character of our staff. I think that's been a game changer for us. We've really tried to apply those character traits and some team values that we consistently put forward to our guys. Kind of our big motto that we've been talking about for the past few years has been the 4 values of responsibility, attitude, effort, and leadership. And we've got some amazing captains on our team that we've, helped build up into some roles that they've really taken, taken to heart and ran with it. So just having some captains that really help guide the ship and having some outstanding, assistants, it makes me look good. So I'm definitely thankful to have the staff I have, because it's definitely not just me.
All right, repeat that again. Responsibility. What was the second one again?
Responsibility, attitude, effort, and leadership. Those are our 4. And we talk about them on a weekly basis, if not daily.
Now, I'm going to make a suggestion here. If you go responsibility, effort, attitude, leadership, it spells real.
Keeping it real. There you go.
Maybe there's your shirt next year. Now, I want to talk about this season. You talk about not even having a guy nationally ranked in Division II. Going through the schedule, at what point did you start seeing this team gel and start to you start knocking off teams? Okay, there's a win over Chadron State. They were ranked. A win over Western, which is within that conference is always a big the big rivalries with all the Colorado schools there. But at what point did you realize that this team is really starting to come together?
2 years ago. Yeah, not this year.
Really? So it's been set in motion for 2 years.
It's been in motion for a little while. At the beginning of the season, before we even had our first duel, that was one of our expectations as a team, and really one of our goals was to compete for an RMAC title this year. We just have such a solid team. We have depth where if one guy goes down, we've got another that can step right up. And I think last year, I'll have to look back at my numbers, but I believe last season, I think we had 18 different guys in our lineup in our duels. And I haven't gone through the numbers this year, but I know we've definitely had a handful of others, outside of the guys that wrestled last night that have stepped in too and been part of that, part of that win. So it's not just the 10; it's so many more. Like I said, we got 31 guys on our roster, and every one of them are a part of it. And like I said, it's been a couple of years. It's been in motion, and they just start coming. Bonus points is something we talk about a lot. Obviously duels, it's a little different than the regional tournament or national tournament in terms of getting those W's. They all add up, but some guys that have stepped up and gotten bonus points to pull off some dual wins for us has been special. It just really makes an exciting season to have the duels really matter. That's been fun this year, and I hope some other maybe Division I can follow suit in some way, somehow, and making duels matter a little bit more in the future. But I would say from this experience, in Division II, that we had the opportunity this year with our conference to have these duels really matter. It makes it fun, not just for the athletes, but for the fans too. So it was pretty special.
Yeah, you say that because for the last couple of years, there's been a Rocky Mountain Championships at the Olympic Training Center that was a tournament before the postseason. It wasn't a qualifier, and now. Before we got on air here, we were talking like the dual meet is determining the conference championship, as we alluded to. But the reason I'm pointing out why it was this year, because last year 10-2, but you had losses to Western Colorado, then known as Western State, and Colorado Mesa. Are those two duels that within this conference and within the structure of even the athletic department, that the department circles those type of events? Granted, Colorado Mesa is still a relatively new wrestling program. It's been, it was formerly Mesa State, brought back, I want to say 10, 12 years ago, but Western's always been kind of a power out there on the Western Slope with good guys who've come through. Matter of fact, Shane Carwin, a guy that trained in your room at Northern Colorado for the UFC, came out of Western.
Yep.
So, there's a little bit more than just wrestling that are involved in beating these schools.
Yeah, these are big rivals for our university, not just our wrestling team. I mean, these are special things for our AD. These are special things for, our VP, our president. Our president was at the match last night supporting us. So these are big deal. To just have, and I was a proponent of having the RMAC tournament when we did that the last few years. I thought that was great. But the opportunity came around to switch it up this year with these duels. And, those were big. They're big. I mean, they mean a lot, to be able to compete against some rivals like that, in a setting that matters and that's exciting and that, has some things on the line that people can kind of rally around, whether, it's either for both teams, it's just fun. But, it's just, I don't know, it's cool to be in a place here at Mines that our conference, really supports our sport, and to have the RMAC, recognize, these achievements. Definitely thank the RMAC for allowing wrestling to be such a premier sport within the conference.
When it comes to this team, who, the best record on the team is Robert Gamble, 15-2, 174 pounds. Again, everybody else has that, I don't want to say middling record, but, they're either just a Scotia under 500, Scotia above 500, or maybe a couple wins more than 500. You've got really no ranked guys. I mean, who is your emotional leader?
None.
No emotional leaders. Everybody's an emotional leaders kind of thing.
No guys ranked. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
But, so our three, I'll tell you who our captains are. Our captains are Noah Autumn, 149-pounder, Skylar Likens, 157-pounder, Keenan Willits, 165-pounder, and Robert Gambrell, 174. And those four, have really been tasked with being obviously leaders, as captains, and we give them little things to do on a weekly basis, and really give them opportunities to be in those situations where they can lead and they can, be a part of getting the team to get excited, right? To get excited on a weekly basis, to be responsible and to do what you're supposed to be doing, and to have that attitude of, just being, I guess, happy about having an opportunity, right? To even be a college athlete for that matter. But they've done a great job, and they all kind of have their different, personalities. And I think that was part of the moving forward with them as captains, is they have kind of all their own little ways that they lead. And, some of them are more vocal than others, but, all four of them are important. But Robert Gambrell, he's a guy that, all four of those guys for that matter, but, Rob's obviously had a little bit better record season. He's only lost to one guy. His two losses were the same guy, both by like a point. But yeah, he's going to make some noise. And not only him, but some other guys are going to make some serious noise, in the next couple of weeks at NCAA regionals and national tournament. I'm very confident that will happen. Speaking
of the postseason, new format in qualifying this year, as it's gone from 4 super regions to 6. What are your thoughts on that? And does it make it easier or tougher for you guys to get through?
I don't think it changes much, really. I think it's going to be just as hard. I guess you could say there are more qualifiers, going to nationals instead of a 16-man bracket. You got the 18 going this year, but, ultimately we all know how hard it can be to be a top 3 guy, versus a top 4 guy in your region. So, I don't think things change a whole lot. It'll be interesting to see how the seeding goes, because we will seed the national tournament, which we have not done in the past. So it's kind of a year where nobody really knows how exactly it's going to go. And, I'm sure there'll be, plenty of people looking back after the fact of saying, oh, well, we should have done this or we should have done that. And I don't think we'll really know how it goes until it happens. But, we got a lot of guys that are right in those, 3-4 spots in terms of that will go into the region seeding, and guys that I think, won't even be seeded for that matter, that will surprise people. That's for sure.
Yeah, it should be an interesting thing. I want to talk about the history of the program just a little bit. They've spent some time as an NAIA school, but mostly as a dual affiliate back in the 60s and 70s. 42 All-Americans in Division II, the college division, 6 additional in the NAIA. Two All-Americans that are on your watch, 7 champs in school history. Last one came 21 years ago. What's it going to take for to train up that next level, the next national champion in Golden for Colorado School of Mines?
It's going to take somebody at the end of this season just doing it. Simple as that. I mean, we had John Simpson was our last national champ that was here, actually stopped by. He lives down in Durango area. Stopped by to say hi to the guys and give them a little support from his end, vocally and in person to the team. So it was special to have the last one that did it stop into the room just a week ago. So nice to see John and all of our alums, supporting us and really, having those high hopes. But I think it's just a matter of getting one, and we're in a place where that can happen this year. If it doesn't happen this year, we're in a place where it can happen next year. I mean, we have that depth within our team, and we have guys on our staff that have been in these situations, and I think it's coming. I mean, obviously, you just saw a big record that happened and that came to fruition last night with this championship for us. So it's just a matter of time and some guys taking another level of belief in themselves. I think that'll be the turning point. It's just when these guys take the next step in believing just a little bit more. I think that's the turning point.
What have you learned about the athletes that, for years, the Division II mantra was I chose Division II, I choose Division II. Now it's make it yours. It's kind of a calling card for the division as a whole. What have you learned about being immersed in Division II culture that maybe says, this, coming out of high school, maybe you could have considered it, even though you had pretty high accomplishments. But, why do you think kids should maybe open their eyes a little bit more to something outside of Division I for an academic and athletic experience?
Oh man, that's so hard for me not to say any negatives, about Division I, obviously because I was a Division I guy. But for here at Mines, at least, I can speak to this place as a Division II institution being a more rounded experience. You're not just coming here to be an athlete and try to do something on the Olympic level and then figure out after maybe that dream does or doesn't come true years down the road and then figure out what you're going to do with your career. These guys are coming out of here with unbelievable job opportunities. Almost all of our seniors sign job contracts before they graduate. I've got a couple seniors right now that signed job contracts months ago. For us, I think that's kind of the big thing here, at least. When you compare us to some other schools, I think it's kind of hard to compare us to other Division IIs just because we are so focused and so unique. But I think that's the major difference in us D2 versus D1 is it's a more rounded experience, in my opinion. And guys can do both here. They can go through the most challenging college degree that's offered, with engineering field, and still be very successful on the mat and balance that life, and just be part of something special. But I don't want to say anything bad about D1 by any means. I think those are the kids that we're looking at that are also looking at D1. But we've got the staff of all those guys that had those experiences too, and we could bring the same same type of experiences to the table to a certain degree, but it will be a more rounded experience. It won't just be about athletics here.
Next event for you guys, the Rocky Mountain Collegiate Open, which you guys are hosting February 10th in Golden. Then you go to the regionals in Kearney, and then the NCAA championships at the Wallstein Center Cleveland State and Cleveland, Ohio. So, the next couple weeks are good ones for you. But before we go, we're bringing the return of Short Time on Short Time, 10 questions in about 90 seconds. I guess I'm not timing anybody as much anymore. Are you ready for the challenge?
I suppose.
3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, question 1. Best pizza in Colorado?
Oh, Bojo's.
Best beer in Colorado?
Oh man! I'm gonna skip that one.
There's either too many of them, or that one can take its.
There's too many options.
All right, kind of a two-parter here. How many 14ers have you climbed, and what's your favorite one?
Honestly, I've only climbed one. How bad is that?
Yeah, which one was it then? So it's got to be your favorite.
Bierstadt.
Okay. Worst place you've ever traveled to wrestle? Not necessarily a school, but maybe a... Actually, let's just change that. Worst place you've ever traveled, period.
Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Favorite coach to coach against?
Favorite coach to coach against?
Not necessarily the guy you like beating the most, but the guy you know that when he's across the mat from you, it's going to be a fun exchange.
I'll just say Western, just for the rivalry reasons.
Favorite MMA fighter?
I got to go with Justin, since he's Justin Gaethje, since I had an opportunity to coach him. Favorite
wrestling shoe of all time?
Favorite wrestling shoe? Oh man, got to go with the old Adidas, the combats.
Spider-Man or Batman? Not who wins in a fight, who wins in a wrestling match.
Ooh, I'd have to take Spider-Man in the wrestling.
Yeah, a little more flexible, not as brawny there. Okay. Favorite place you've ever wrestled?
Favorite place? Holy moly! I mean, it's got to be Okie State. That place has so much history.
All right, and we teased it at the beginning. Question 10. Time clock is off. Explain the name Meatwad.
Oh, I don't even know how it came. But yeah, Meatwad was shortened to Meat. That's the old college, buddy group. We've got a fun old group text that goes around. I don't know how many hundreds of text messages we share on a daily or weekly basis, but yeah, that's the crew. That's the old crew.
Yeah. So of that crew, here are the names that I think
J.C. Russell might have been the first to quote the nickname.
Yeah, because probably a derivative from Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which JC is definitely, because we call him and TJ rode pretty close. TJ called him Chuck. So, and then there was I'm not going to say the full D, but then there was a baby D following that. Then there was the Bus, who other
Correct.
people know who his alter ego is. So there was a whole crew that came through right as Mizzou was starting to get good and really turn that corner. So, it's one of those things that if you're there, you know him by that. And, because like I'll look at Bader and I'll call him by his nickname, and he'll look at me and call me by my nickname, just because of the ties with JC and TJ and all the Missouri ties there. So, it's one of the few times I'll see it at Nationals or somewhere or Fargo, but hey, what's up, Meatwad? And it's like, you don't even bat an eye. So that's,
I got to just shout yours back with Twink.
It's a Twinkie, I hear it. It's the full name too. So, but, all right, cool deal to see everything that's been going on out in Golden, Colorado School of Mines, the Ore Diggers. What was the name of that burrow again?
Blaster the Burrow. It's a burrow. Carrying around a stick of dynamite in its mouth. It's got the whole backpack on, heading into the mine.
Like, dude, I'm tough. I've got a backpack and I eat dynamite for breakfast.
Yeah. Carrying a bag with a whole bunch of sticks of dynamite in it, and the pickaxe and all that good stuff. So we're digging gold out here. Trying to find the next gold medal.
The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. Hey, you know what? Did you like the show? You want to hit that subscribe button? MattTalkOnline.com/listen. Various different ways to subscribe to this show on your favorite podcatcher of choice. And if you're already subscribed, you're already listening, you love the show, and you want to support this show and this network, MattTalkOnline.com/join the team. Become a team member today.